Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Rock it in the daytime, Electric Avenue. Rock it in the night, take it higher, Electric Avenue.
Lloyds of London, famed for insuring everything from satellites to dancers' legs. The centre of the London insurance market, this building sees millions of pounds worth of business transacted every day. You know, like it or loathe it, every square foot of this building just shouts 20th century high technology. But step inside and you could be stepping right back into the past. A respect for tradition is part of the Lloyd's way of doing things.
Richard Longstaff, favour.
Fundamentally, business is still conducted in the same way it has been for years. But 1988 was a year of change for Lloyds. A network of computer links was established, which may finally alter the working patterns of centuries. Adam, what's a showbiz personality like you doing in Lloyds? What's the connection?
Well, I'm what's called a member of Lloyds, and I put up a proportion of the money to back the insurance claims. I think the minimum is £100,000 of immediately realisable assets.
That's the amount you stand to lose, is it? 100,000?
No, you stand to lose every single thing you've got.
The whole lot?
Yeah, it's an unlimited liability, which is total risk. So you could find yourself losing everything that you've got.
So what's in it for you?
Do you know how Lloyd started?
No, carry on.
Basically, Lloyd started in a place like this. It was a little coffee shop, and there were some merchants sitting around, and one of them said, "Oh, I've got a boatload of silk or spices coming in, and I'm worried in case it doesn't get here." So somebody else said, "All right, give me £1,000, and how much is it worth? Maybe £20,000. Well, give me £1,000, and if it doesn't get here, I'll give you the 20,000. And that's exactly how it is. And then another guy came in and said, "I'll share that £1,000 risk with you." And those two became a syndicate. And that's basically what Lloyd's is now. It's a series of people that get together and take on a risk.
So the syndicate is people like yourself who are prepared to underwrite the risk if things go wrong?
Yeah.
So are you in a position to vet the risks that come your way if you've got a one-legged tightrope walker?
No, you're not that involved. You are the silent partner. As a name, you're the silent partner. You leave that to the guys that run the syndicates.
Hello, Tim. How are you?
Very good. What's this, oil or cotton?
No, not today. I've got some further information on our Bugatti Royal for Christie's. Now, this car that we've been doing for a very, very high value, and there's one or two alterations on the original agreement. So, basically...
Have you got a picture of this? Hold on, I think Ray's got one.
In the magazine, as you know, this is the actual 1931 Bugatti, which is absolutely magnificent. And they're putting a sort of an auction value on this of $9.5 million, as you know, on the original agreement. So,
Yeah, we got the agreement.
yeah, we've got the original agreement there, which we've arranged for the coverage from Los Angeles across to UK for the various exhibits, transits, etc. And then she's finally going to go to auction towards the end of November at the Royal Albert Hall. So, as you know, the security and everything's been dealt with by Christie's and agreed by you. But in addition to that, well, they want to possibly exhibit the car in Paris for 5 days. The other sort of minor thing is that when she comes from LA to the airport, she's going to be actually on a low loader. I don't know whether...
Well, I don't think that's minor. Anyway, let's worry about that in a minute.
Yeah.
What's our line on this?
2 seconds.
Hold on a second. $9.5 million.
She's expected to fetch at auction.
8.6 net.
So our line was, what was it, 12.5%, and that's signed 70.
She's the highest valued car in the world at the moment.
So you have no say at all in what he commits you to?
No. You've got a lot of say if it goes wrong, because then you'd complain all the time. But on the whole, no, you have no say. You don't want any say, because you may have 500 people debating every single piece of insurance that comes in. It would be impractical. It wouldn't work. There is a chap at the sharp end that takes on the business, and it's on his knowledge and judgment that the names stand or fall.
I think we want... well, certainly 075 for 5 days.
Surely not, it's too high.
Well, what's the security there? What are they doing?
Well, Christie's have arranged all the security. I mean, there's no problem there. I mean, the vehicle's going to be very well looked after. I mean, it's their normal security arrangements. I mean,
Is it going to be 24-hour guard?
Well, yes, it will be.
At the exhibition?
Oh, yes, at the exhibition.
And nobody's going to be allowed to get near it?
No,
It's going to be the same as at Earl's Court?
That's right, yes.
Okay, this low loader I don't think is at all satisfactory, actually, because I never imagined we'd go on a low loader. I've always talked about it going in an enclosed van. So I really think it ought to go in an enclosed van.
Well, okay, if you insist on that, I'll put it up to them and say, well, underwriter feel that it must go in an enclosed van. I mean, I'm sure they can arrange that, or even if it's going to cost them more money, obviously, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I don't want anything, not a vehicle like this going on a low loader.
So you prefer that to go in an enclosed, proper enclosed van?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I'd like to alter the slip to that effect.
All right.
What's in it for the member is a return on the money that he puts up as a guarantee. And depending on which syndicates you belong to, you hope that the return will be higher than the next syndicate.
Enclosed transport, okay?
Yeah. I'm sure that won't be any difficulty. I think they suggested a low loader because obviously that would be the easiest way of conveyancing it. But
well, yes.
I mean, this is a special one-off risk, I appreciate it. So we're talking about 05 AP for the 5 days in Paris to return to London.
But you'll have to get the second underwriter to agree this.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ray.
Okay, Tim, thank you very much.
Lloyds is famous for deals like that, with the personal touch.
If there's any more alterations or amendments, I'll come and see you, obviously, with it.
Yeah,
thanks very much.
There will be more, I'm sure of that.
Okay, Tim, thank you.
400 syndicates operate in these boxes, the arrangement of benches based on the coffee shop design of 300 years ago. But as the market grows, some are realizing that handwritten business, conducted in a central room, a leisurely walk away from base, is probably not the way into an efficient future. Armloads of information could be moved more effectively around the streets of London, and further afield, by a computer network of link-ups.
The main problem is the paper. And if we could do something about the paper and get our market to become more keyboard astute, then I think there are considerable benefits there. But of course there is this basic fear, even now in modern business, of actually sitting down in front of a keyboard. It must be one of the most exciting computer problems in the world, because here you have 400 diverse businesses, and they're all doing basically the same thing, and you can see that they've all got various elements of technology. Some of the boxes have got very sophisticated personal computers with flat screens, the latest in technology, and other boxes just looking around have punch cards. And in fact, we are the largest user of punch cards in the world still.
So I hear, yes.
Which is a label that I'm not very proud to wear. Now, all these computer systems are developing at various paces within the individual firms, but they all have one problem in common. None of them can talk to each other.
Merit Syndicate have their own computer system already, which gives them all the information previously handwritten into ledgers.
Got a fairly straightforward renewal for you. A company called Delco.
We got our last year's reference.
Yep.
Just check and see what we've got on it.
These people are a fairly small UK metal account, all on metal additives used in the car industry.
So we have a note on our screen from last year about this, but there have been shortage claims on shipments in boxes and drums.
But information from outside this syndicate, such as these claims details, still arrive at the box on paper and have to be retyped into the computer. Some information has to be retyped as many as 14 times as it gets passed on to the relevant parties. But Merits continue to enter it into the books as well.
It will still be entered into the books because I'm still maintaining the books as well as putting it on in the terminals.
Why are you doing that?
Oh, well, I just want to be absolutely sure that the information's available for when I want it. And until we've been running that computer for another couple of years, I haven't total confidence that when I want it, it's going to be there. But I do know it's going to be there in the books.
Is everybody taking that belt and braces way of thinking?
If they're as cautious as I am, yes, I'm sure they are.
If underwriters have such a healthy disrespect for their own computers, then it's no wonder that they're worried about the prospects of connecting into anyone else's. So Des Lee had to adopt a softly approach.
Des Lee's predecessor developed a scheme whereby we would have sort of a massive database of information, and brokers and underwriters would subscribe to that database and then feed off that for their underwriting. Essentially, underwriters always believe that they interpret the numbers in their own special way, and they didn't see themselves as being part of a massive database, and they effectively rebelled against that proposal.
It was rather imposed on the market. This is the way we're going to do it, lads. And immediately the reaction from the market is, oh, if that's what you think, no it ain't.
Underwriters maybe didn't have too much of a view about what they did want, but they were very clear on what they didn't want.
The first thing we did was to make it totally optional. You don't have to join, because all the old systems will carry on the old way for a significant time. But of course there are significant business advantages in taking part in the four services that we're offering. And if you want to compete in world markets, then you need to take account of modern business methods so that you can communicate with your counterparts in Tokyo, in San Francisco or Melbourne or so on and so forth.
So Lloyd's policy was to encourage people to use the network by trying to fit the computer system exactly to the established pattern of doing things.
When we started looking at the problem, how do we automate the market? We went out and interviewed brokers, underwriters, agencies, went out, sat on boxes, watched the business process taking place. We went out and talked to the bureaus involved in processing the business and checking the actual policies to identify precisely how the business worked. We put that together as a paper model initially, analysed and checked that. We went out and presented that to the people involved and verified that this is actually how it worked.
Is this exactly the same way, Bob, that you'd have gone around analysing the problems in any large organisation?
Oh, very much so. We're using very standard systems analysis techniques. We go out and look at the business problem, break it down into simple, understandable chunks, and then actually turn that into a systems solution.
But are the problems the same?
The problems are exactly the same. They're just across a wider spread. Additionally, you have political problems on top of the normal organisational problems, which I think is a very different thing that we have within the London market.
What are those?
You're trying to sell the product to hundreds of different companies with a whole myriad of different computer systems. And so you're trying to persuade these people to change their systems, change their techniques of operating. So you're looking at changing a culture rather than just implementing a system.
But their problems weren't all political ones. The building itself wasn't wired for such a network.
Although it's a very modern building, the technology expectation that we were going to have in the floor was that perhaps we would have something like 10 or 15 terminals per gallery. Well, you can just see, looking around you now, that we have increased that by 1,000% and it will grow. Now, if we were to wire every terminal here using standard methods of coax, then we would probably have to increase the floor by about 3 feet. So what we've done is we have invested in a fibre optic cabling layout. So we've wired the whole building with the latest technology. And what we're doing is we're firing signals along the cable, fibre optic cable, using lasers. So this, in theory, gives us infinite capacity. So we're very well placed to take whatever the market throw at us in terms of technology.
We've actually got 5 live users from the 2nd of November, so we're doing quite well.
So we're only 10 days into that?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
We actually did run a trial, though, on that system for 4 months, and we had our 5 trial users, and they all seemed very pleased with what they got, but of course they want more.
Right. What facilities has it got?
It's actually got inquiry facilities to the members' details, so the deposits they hold and valuations and their premium income limits and stuff like that. The network also has a screen mail system, which is just for sending messages and memos, and any users that have got a PC can also attach files and send them to other PC users, so they could send around spreadsheets of one kind and another to each other. So that's quite good.
We are, in one giant leap, taking our business forward well into the 21st century. We are embarking on a very ambitious project, but we're using tried and tested technology all the way along the line, and this will give us a significant business advantage in relation to our competition.
We're having a tough time on the shop floor. It's very difficult to get decisions made because of the way that Lloyds is structured. There are various committees and steering groups that everything's got to go through. And so when we get asked a question by a user on a particular type of policy, it sometimes takes as long as 2 months for us to get the reply back to them. Also, because their expectations are being set quite high, when we actually go in to do the technical meetings with them and they find out what it's really all about and what it's going to cost them, they sometimes give us a bit of a rough ride.
At all times, the relationship between the system suppliers and the users has to be robust. So how much say are you, the users, having in how the system operates?
A principal say, actually. I, for example, chair a user group, which is the connection between the people on the box here and the people in the back office who are operating the computers. And on that committee, apart from myself, I've also got representative from the computer operators themselves.
So we'll fix that up and see the brokers next week.
Sure, okay, thanks, Tim. The view basically we took was it just didn't make sense for the systems boys to come in and actually lay down the framework for the future. Our approach basically was to take the users, the Tim Jonases of this world, and put them in charge of user groups where it was the sort of master-servant relationship was quite clear. So Gareth Pike and his technical experts are there to provide support and service to Tim and the other underwriters.
Item 2, which is Barnabas, you were going to raise something on the...
Problems of their own computer system and the Lloyds network are thrashed out at these meetings.
Right, thanks very much, Tim. Gareth, we were talking earlier about the year-end figures and the importance of having the cargo stats up to date. The other problem that we've got as users on the box is on the question of the response times, which I know is an old topic that you love and cherish as we do. But as far as we're concerned, unless the response times are improved, then there's not really much point in having the equipment in the first place. As users on the box, it's got to be at least as efficient as when we have manual records. And at the moment, response times are so appalling that's not the case, which causes us as underwriters tremendous difficulties if we're trying to say to brokers, hang on a moment while we just put a reference in, and we have to spend even longer waiting for something from the computer than we did from the books in the first place. I mean, I think I speak probably for all the users from that point of view. Now, I don't know, and I don't think people on the box understand whether it's a matter of simply putting in a bigger battery or what. So what, in layman's terms, is it that we're going to be able to do about it?
I knew that response times were not good. I hadn't realised they were as bad as to be worrying you to this extent for the renewal season. We believe the most substantial thing we can do is to improve the way the screens are linked to the computer in the basement of Lloyd's. That is dependent on Lloyd's cabling system in the building, and that we can try and progress as fast as we can. On top of that, I will raise in priority anything else we can do. We'll look at the whole thing and see if it needs some improvement in the way the programs run, or whether it does need a stronger elastic band in the machine, or whatever.
I get the feeling that in no way are the boffins calling the tune here.
Well, it was terribly important from the very beginning that we handled this in the proper way, in a dignified way. Underwriters have, for many years, relied heavily upon their card index systems. We had to demonstrate that the computer technology was going to add value to the business and not disturb the important relationships that the underwriters had established over the years.
As you've seen, the Lloyd's policy is to let the people who will actually use the system call the tune. Now, of course, cynics will point out that it's the end users, the underwriters, who actually provide all the money. Well, that may be true, but there is still a lesson to be learned here by all system designers, and that is that the system must serve the user, not the other way around. By the end of 1988, the 5 companies on the network had become 75, with the expectation of 350 more in the next 2 years. And with the increase in users came an increase in the market's commitment to automation. Lloyds has announced that from the beginning of 1990, details of claims will be available only on the network. They will no longer be sent out on paper.
Adam.
John.
Hi. Hi.
And what difference will all this make to the members of Lloyds, like Adam Faith? He will still visit Merritt's to meet up with his member's agent for advice on his syndicate membership.
How are we doing?
Well, I think not too bad.
The
Well, I've had a
allocation.
look at your syndicates, and I think we should probably try to put slightly greater emphasis next year into the UK motor market and less in the US market.
But as of 1990, most of his financial information, profits, loss, audited accounts, will be automatically sent to Lloyds through the network, not on paper.
Majority of Lloyd's syndicates.
Do you ever foresee the time when the whole thing will become computerized?
I'm not sure what you mean by the whole thing. If you mean the day-to-day underwriting, the leading of risks, no, I don't see that ever being other than a face-to-face meeting between broker, who's representing his client, and underwriter, who's representing his names or his backers. That'll always be there. But I can see more and more information being used, the computer being more and more part of the scene.
I think there's a lot of fear. People are scared of what it will do to them, their jobs, the way they've done their business in the past. There's a lot of concern about that some of the incidental elements of the way they do business. At the moment, the way the system works allows, for instance, considerable face-to-face meetings and discussions. That could disappear. Now, no one's had to evaluate how much use that is to the market. If we actually threaten to take it away, what effect that will have is possibly unknown.
So, how long will the traditional face-to-face business last? Or is this a vision of the future? Emptiness. For once the network is up and running, the need for the meeting place, the coffee house, may no longer be there.